Gallup is the big engagement group. I'm sure you have heard of Gallup and their engagement survey. Their survey is called the Q12. They really pride themselves in the fact that they've turned an engagement survey that can often be very long into only 12 questions. They've really kind of hit that engagement space hard. The way that Gallup defines engagement is that an employee would be involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to the work in the workplace. Now, this is a nice definition: involved, enthusiastic, and committed. The thing is that it actually is hard to measure. So interestingly enough, although Gallup has this, what's the word? They're the Q12 people, the engagement survey people, and everybody knows who they are. They don't actually define engagement very well because their questionnaire doesn't necessarily measure these three things. You can't really measure enthusiasm. You can ask someone, are you enthusiastic? And they can say yes or no, but it's not really measurable. And so that's part of the problem with Gallup's definition. So I'm not a big fan. Now, I personally like to say that engagement is a profound connection to work tasks, teammates, and the mission. So I'm saying, for example, for myself, I am a business owner. I own Civility Partners, and I, of course, have a profound connection to Civility Partners, the tasks that I engage in every day. I have a profound connection to my teammates because I care about them, and I, of course, care about their ability to help me get to Civility Partners' mission, which is to create civil work environments. So I myself have a profound connection. So perhaps that informs my own definition of engagement. And so my point of view is that the more profoundly connected employees are to things like their tasks and their teammates and the mission of the organization, the more effort they'll put into things. But my definition isn't necessarily measurable either. How do you have a profound connection, or how do you measure that? So William Kahn, who is considered the father of employee engagement, he put out a definition in 1990 in an academic journal, and he was really the first one to talk about engagement, hence the title Father of Employee Engagement. And so in that research article, what he said is that he thought employees needed to be doing something important that contributes to the organization's success. They have to enjoy their relationships, or they have to have rewarding and supporting relationships. And they have to have the resources needed to accomplish their work. So he's talking about doing something important, having good relationships, and the resources needed. So his is a little bit more measurable because you can measure relationships and how satisfied or dissatisfied people are with relationships. You can certainly ensure that people have what they needed. And you can measure how much somebody feels like they're contributing, and you can engage in activities that sort of push on that. You can encourage managers, for example, to talk about how their employees are contributing to the organization's mission and success. So William Kahn is certainly on the right track with this. Now, interestingly enough, we recently did a client survey, and of course, doing surveys on engagement, among many other topics, is part of what we do when we work with clients. And so we asked several questions about employee engagement in this client survey. And through factor analysis, which is a quantitative methods, statistical sort of process that you run your statistical data through a software system, and it gives you all this interesting information. Through the process of factor analysis, we discovered that William Kahn was pretty right on. So we discovered that people in this organization were really engaged if they believed that the tasks that they were assigned could be completed. And that would include resources and the ability, to have the time to do it, that they fit in the organization, and that the work was meaningful. So our factor analysis really matched up very well with William Kahn's definition. The last definition I want to offer up is by a friend of mine, Jeff Toyster. Now, Jeff is the customer service guru. He's written several books on that topic and is really very well acknowledged as a leader in the customer service space, and he has a lot of interesting points of view. He's really focused on building cultures of customer service. So the way he defines engagement is the extent to which an employee is deliberately contributing to the organization's success. Now, his definition is interesting to me because what he's done is removed all the fluff. So if we go back, these definitions, for example, William, he's saying employees need to be doing something important, be feeling like they have good relationships and that they have resources. So William Kahn's definition is sort of one step up. What Jeff's done is take it down to the basics. The whole point of employee engagement is discretionary effort, right? The idea is that if employees are engaged, they will give maximum discretionary effort. That's the whole point. So taking me for example, as I mentioned, I'm profoundly connected to Civility Partners and the work that I do, and I try to ensure that my employees are also profoundly connected to the work that we're doing and the mission that we're trying to achieve. The idea behind that is that we're all going to give maximum effort all the time. However, we're all humans. I'm human. I own my business, and I personally am not engaged in maximum discretionary effort 100% of the time because I can't. I have a family at home. I have other things that I think about when I'm at work. I get tired around 3 o'clock, so I'm not giving maximum effort then. But the whole point of engagement is that the more engaged people are, the more effort they will give, and ultimately the more money they will make your company, the better customer service, the more productivity they will offer.